Welcome back to the next episode of Second Chance Queen. I'm your host, Kristianna Mrjenovich, and tonight we will be interviewing another one of my Sash sisters from the International Miss System, Saryna Ritter-Keddy. She is Mrs. Illinois. Saryna Ritter-Keddy was born and raised in Illinois. She went to Indiana University for photography. She started Go Bling Yourself, specializing in all things bling and providing exceptional jewelry and pageant clothing at affordable prices. Wanting to expand her reach in the field of fashion, she started working in the prom and pageant industry as a senior editor, curator, fashion merchandiser, and sales director for the last 10 years. Currently, she works for Browning Associates. They're the most successful executive career management firm in the nation as a senior partner. She also has a huge heart for service and is always giving back to the community in any way that she can. She has earned global recognition for her humanitarian work from LMA and We Dream in Color. She is the president and CEO of You Gotta Have Faith, a charity organization providing support, care packages, and essentials to families in need globally. In her free time, she enjoys swimming, cooking, and designing. She is happily married to Darren Keddy, world-famous guitar tech. Fun fact, he works for Taylor Swift currently. They welcomed their daughter Maxine on Thanksgiving Day in 2020. For the last 22 years, she has been an active pageant coach, judge, and competitor. Most recently, International Mrs. Illinois 2024. Go Bling Yourself was established in 2008, and currently she sponsors 50 state, national, and international pageants for 2024. Each year, Saryna presents the Bling Girl Award to highlight a woman or girl that truly embodies pageantry from the inside out. All jewelry is made by women, designed by women to empower women. Together we can support one another and bling on. She is a wife, mother, business owner, charity owner, senior partner, avid swimmer, personal stylist, foodie, rock and roll junkie, fashion diva, animal lover, and traveler. Please join me in welcoming Saryna Ritter-Keddy.
Our crowns get a moment together.
Perfect. Sister crowns. Okay, so I would love to start by you telling the listeners what your most pivotal second chance moment is. So everybody probably has a ton of these, but if you could narrow down like one moment in your life where it was either a second chance you gave or received, but you feel like it really kind of changed the trajectory of your life, in your own words, what would that moment be?
I think, like most people, there's been a lot of moments where you kind of sit back and say, and you look back as you're older going, how did I get through that? How did I maneuver? Here I am, alive and well and thriving. But when I was a kid, people are always just deceived by social media. It's so pretty, and what could possibly be wrong? And if anybody ever had time to read the Saryna story, they'd be really surprised what I've actually gone through. But when I was a kid, my dad was an addict, and that really impacted my family horribly, negatively. It almost caused us to be homeless. And I remember being in high school, and of course, you're always stricken by temptation, peer pressure, wanting to fit in. And I remember being after a game, I don't remember if it was a football game or a basketball game, and temptation reared its ugly head to really do something bad. And I said no. And temptation kept appearing. And somebody in my circumstance and what I had been going through personally, which most people at school had no idea what I was going through, it would have been really easy to go down that really bad path that my dad fell into. And I looked at my father and I said, I don't want to be like that. That's not the future that I want. And now, as an adult married woman with children, I get to look at my father, and my father has been drug and alcohol free for 11 years. And so for me, you're looking at a second chance. I looked at my dad and I said, I don't want to end up there. But I also never gave up on my dad, that my dad could turn his life around. And I've always stuck by my dad's side. So I got to see my father go from a really sad human being to being the man I knew he always was inside. He just couldn't articulate or really be there. And when you want to talk about someone making up for lost time, he did. And I felt like that transformational moment occurred in my life as a teenager because it really made me push my boundaries of, Saryna, how hard are you going to work? If you don't want to be there, what do you have to do to not go down that path? Everything. You will sacrifice everything in your life, but you will be above water. You just got to stay above water.
I love that. And that is one of the second chances that when I developed the podcast, I thought of addiction. Obviously, with my platform being domestic abuse, that's the prevalent one that is the reason I started it. But second chances with addiction was a huge one that popped into my brain. One, because there's so many types of addiction. And number two, because you see so many people turn their lives around. So I love that. Well, I don't love that your story involves addiction, but I love that you've hit on this topic, and also the perspective of you giving the second chance in a way. I mean, you set your life on a different trajectory by saying no, but you also didn't give up on your father, like you said. And so you gave a second chance. So you're actually the first guest that has technically given one and that been part of their pivotal moment. So I love that for you. And that takes a lot to do, especially at a young age. So
It was
I'm
hard.
so happy you didn't give up.
No, and that's a big problem for people that actually have addiction is, it's kind of like the boy that cried wolf. You can only do it so many times and people just give up on you. And, I took my dad in my 20s and I said, you got to get your life together. What are you doing? Yeah. And I took my dad in, and then it did come down to a final ultimatum. I can't fix you. Nobody can fix you. Until you choose to better yourself, nothing will change. And that's something that my dad always talked about. I actually did my college thesis paper on addiction, and I interviewed my dad and I submitted that to the college. And my dad's story is incredibly pivotal because when I talk about high school and the people that tempt me, one of those people were in recovery with my father, my age. So when you want to talk about a full circle moment, and when I went to my dad's graduation of exiting the program, and I'm seeing this individual who, mind you, I had a great relationship with, but I wasn't going down that path. I'm not the judge, jury, and executioner, and you can choose what you do with your life, but I'll always be kind. Yeah. And when I saw this individual, I told him, I said, look, it's not too late. I'm like, my dad did it. And you know that he has been there 3 other times trying to better himself. But again, he's my age. So never give up on anybody, because we all need a second, a third, a 50th chance, because we're humans.
I love that. And it speaks a lot to, I feel like it's almost the flip side of one of the words that I use and hear a lot in this podcast, which is resilience. Mm-hmm. So many people, you see a lot of women, especially empowered women, because in order to be an empowered woman, you typically have to go through something that you have to rise above. So resilience is a very common theme, but the flip side of resilience is forgiveness, at least to me. So that's a really important thing. And I think you also hit the nail on the head in identifying that you couldn't save him, but being the support system for him. Because I think a lot of people that struggle with addiction need that support system and that consistent person. So kudos to you for never giving up and for pushing, because that's really important. And you changed the trajectory of not only your life, but his life. So that's hugely impactful.
And my dad will be at the pageant.
That's awesome. I love that he's coming to support you.
Oh yeah.
That's great.
He'll be cheering everybody on. My dad's everyone's biggest cheerleader. And let me tell you something, y'all are going to hear him. The man is loud. I wonder where I get it from. So that'd be great.
If you could become famous tomorrow for a published quote, if somebody was going to quote Saryna, what do you think it would be?
Go big or go home.
I love that.
I talk a lot about my platform. I talk a lot about being small. Because I'm not a big human being. I'm not tall. I'm nothing like that, but I'm a little spitfire. And I was always told, look, if you're gonna do it, go all the way. But you gotta go big or go home. So again, I'm sitting in my closet. I'm drawing inspiration because I'm a designer. When I show up to anything, it's going to be that super extra moment. Why? Because it's my life and you only live once. So do it your way, go big or go home.
That is something that I love about you. Your fashion sense is amazing. I always see you. You know, we met for the first time when I was competing for another system and I blinged myself out. Go bling yourself. And I saw you there and you exuded confidence. You were wearing, I remember it distinctly, you were wearing a really pretty pearl headpiece that I've seen you wear a couple times. And you were just rocking it and you were rocking so much confidence. And I was very drawn to that. So what is your definition of confidence? If you could send a message to girls and women about confidence, what would you say?
I think for women, I think it also confidence comes in different types of confidence, depending on what age we are, where we're also at in our life. So I would say my confidence in this moment of where I'm at in my life is I understand where I'm at in my life. And I feel for younger girls, it's hard to understand where you're at because we're always looking toward the future. You know, if you're in middle school, you want
Yeah,
to be in high school. If you're in high school, you want to be in college. If you're in your 20s, you want to be in your 30s. When you can take that moment and you can fully embody, embrace, and accept yourself, that's a whole nother level of confidence. I know who Saryna Ritter-Keddy is. I know what I can do. And I know exactly what I bring to the table in all capacities in life. And for me, that gives me confidence, not arrogance, confidence. Because I'm going to walk in any room and I will talk to absolutely anybody because I believe that you can find a common ground with everybody. But that means that you need to humble yourself. And that means that you need to find that connectability. And for me, that makes me confident in knowing that whether you're the janitor, you're the CEO, you're the president of the United States, or whatever it might be, I'm going to find a way to engage and connect with you. Why? Because I know exactly who I am. And when we're done with that conversation, you're going to understand the woman I am as well.
I love that. That's a sentiment that I hold very close to myself as well. And that's one of my favorite talents is I consider myself a chameleon in the sense that if I'm in a room, I can kind of stay true to myself while still morphing and connecting with anybody. Like you said, whether it's the janitor or the CEO. So we have that common quality. And I think that is super important for women to have, especially in pageantry, because you meet people of all walks of life in this, industry. So that's super important. And I love that concept. Other than myself, because I'm the second chance queen, what famous person would you designate an honorary second chance queen and why?
Dolly Parton.
Ooh.
I love Dolly Parton. The woman grew up absolutely dirt poor in the equivalent of almost kind of a shack. I mean, basically, they didn't get to bathe all winter and they got to do it first thing in the springtime. But that woman growing up with absolutely nothing to rub between her fingertips, she said,
Yeah.
I'm worth more. I'm going to make something of myself. And by golly, she did. Now, let me tell you something. When she started out, she got rejected. She got rejected. She got rejected. She was told she wasn't good enough, or people severely tried to take advantage of her talents. And one of my favorite stories of Dolly Parton was this. When she really started getting her name out there, Elvis Presley's manager approached her because she wrote a killer song. And they said, the king wants to sing your song, but these are the rules. And the rules were that she got no rights to the song and she got no royalties. That's not how it works when you're a songwriter. She stood her ground and said, no, thank you. And the manager was saying, you're saying no to the king. And she said, but I don't need him.
Love
And that
that.
woman stood her ground. And now we look at the Dolly Parton that we all know and love and cherish as one of America's sweethearts today. But think of all the times that she could have compromised herself, where she could have gave in to so many things or said, well, I didn't come from anything, then I'm not going to be anything. She is the epitome of a second chance queen.
I love that. I haven't heard Dolly yet. So she's a good one. I guessed that she was going to come up, but you're the first person to mention her. So
I'm
I
a big
love
Dolly
that.
fan. The bigger the hair, the closer to Jesus.
Amen. Only my hair does not like to go very, very high. So I'm jealous of ladies that can get volume because volume is not my friend.
Well, I'll have my teas and brush at the pageant. You come over and sit by me. I'll get that hair real quick.
I'll say, bring me to Jesus, Saryna.
That's right. Amen, sister. Amen.
I love that. So a huge part of pageantry is obviously the sisterhood. I've gotten to interview quite a few sisters from our organization, and I love talking with international friends. I do not want to be these judges because we are all so different and wildly talented and successful and strong women. I mean, we all are so worthy of this crown, so it's going to be so hard for them. I don't envy them. But part of that sisterhood, you've been kind of a pillar in the pageantry community with Go Bling Yourself, and that has been a huge part of what you do is by empowering women through making them feel beautiful about themselves. So tell me a little bit about Go Bling Yourself and how that idea kind of arrives for you.
So pageantry is expensive. I mean, there's no denying that. Whether you try to do it with secondhand or not, it still gets very costly very quick. And I remember beginning pageantry as a teenager. And like I was mentioning, my struggles, having a challenged father, you can imagine that also impacts you financially too.
Yeah.
So when I approached my parents and said I wanted to do pageantry, they said, "All right, kiddo, we support you, but you got to figure it out." And I did. I did a lot of fundraising, knocking on doors. Oh, I did it. But I started noticing as competing, girls would forget things. They needed things. And so for my 21st birthday, I got $100 bill. Doesn't sound like a lot of money, but I got a crisp, beautiful $100 bill. Cha-ching, right? Cha-ching. So I'm like, okay, I can take this and go buy myself something cute at the mall, or I can invest in myself. So I took that $100. I went to the wholesale district in Chicago, and one of my pageants, I won a caboodles box. That was like one of the prizes that we got. We all know what the caboodles boxes are, right? So I filled that with little jewelry and trinkets. And then so the next pageant I put it out, and the girls were going, "Oh my God, those are way better than what I have." And it spiraled from there. And then I got into designing my own pieces and not just, going to market where traditionally that's what, stores are going to do. So I
Yeah.
really wanted something unique, but being also in the industry, I'm going, I want pieces that I'm going to wear. I want pieces that I know that these girls are going to feel good about wearing. Because let me tell you something, you could have the best dress, the most amazing, face beat to the gods, but it's head to toe. If you're insecure about anything, it could be your shoes, it could be anything, you're not in your moment. And let me tell you something, I've got a lot of girls that come to my table, and I don't see the pageant patty girl because I'm not a judge, I'm the jewelry girl.
Yeah.
And I'm able to connect with that individual and be very real with her and say, but let me help you, but I'm going to tell you
Yeah.
why. So for me, this is my way to not only lift your spirits up, just like at your pageant, I take time with every single customer to make sure whether you're competing against me, which there's several girls in this pageant, I've either sold wardrobe to or jewelry, including the person I'm talking to right now, because I want you to be your best. Because when I can see my sister next to me, whether we're competing against each other or not, I know that I made a positive impact in your life, but that's where it all stemmed from. $100 investment, when I was 21 years old. We're not going to talk about how old I am now, but, you can do the math.
That is amazing. And yes, I will be decked out in Go Bling Yourself. I have not revealed my gown to anybody but my immediate family and my coach. So they have seen it, but you are the brand. So I will be wearing earrings and a gown from Go Bling Yourself. So I'm like a walking billboard for you on that stage. So you'll be getting shout outs from me.
I
So
am so excited. Y'all, she's going to look so good. I better see all of the applause and praise because it is freaking killer. Yeah. Oh, yes.
It is. I put that gown on and I feel like my inner Taylor Swift comes out. So
Ooh.
I have an era that's going on right now, and that dress brings it out to the T. So I'm super excited to debut that gown. So
You're in
thank
your
you very much.
bling era.
Oh, that might have to be the already got a plan to do a reel to Bejeweled in that gown, because that gown is bejeweled. That's going to be so much fun. But I love that. And I kind of want to stay similar, but pivot to something that's amazing about our system. And you don't see a lot of systems kind of support women the way International Ms. does with the empowerment plan. So, in every pageant, nearly, you have a platform. Every woman has something that they're passionate about. But International Ms. has been really great about giving us the foundation to really show what we intend to do. So I'd love for you to tell us about your empowerment plan and what that looks like for you.
Absolutely. So, if you guys have not checked out my empowerment plan, so go over to my Instagram, Saryna Louise, Saryna. So, not spelled like Serena Williams, spelled Saryna, Saryna Louise. Or you can go to International Mrs. Illinois. Those are my 2 pages, and you can actually watch my empowerment plan. So, my empowerment plan is truly all about my life's work and mission. Unfortunately, I lost my sister, and I am making sure that her legacy will forever and always stay alive. I was a preemie and she was a preemie, and not every preemie gets to live and tell their story and thrive and grow and actually have a life. And she's one of the 1 million preemies that are not here to tell her story. So Big Sis is going to tell it for her. So in the last almost 7 years, I have traveled around the world, impacting all 50 states, 14 countries. And then I decided, I've done all of this work with other organizations. It's time for my sister. And I created You Gotta Have Faith in honor of my late sister, Faith. So everything from our logo to our name is 100% inspired. Even our colors are inspired by her. So me and her share the same birthstone. So aquamarine. So naturally, even the colors are there. There's a reason there's a tree. Some people think, oh, it's a tree of life. No, when my sister didn't make it, my parents planted an apple tree. And I come from a religious family, so it's just very symbolic of renewal and rebirth. So that's really what it is. It's a tree, and the hands that are holding it up, we're holding a heart, and we're holding her heart. And that's what's so special about this, because even if you get to leave that NICU, what an individual and a parent is going through every day, looking at their little child, wondering, is my baby going to make it? Number one, are they going to be okay? Will they live a normal life? You don't know in that moment. And it's terrifying as a parent. So I've made it my mission to make sure that people know they're not alone. We provide a variety of different types of care packages. We provide handmade blankets. We provide preemie hats. And something really special that just happened is a very near and dear friend of mine. She didn't announce it. She's a pretty private person. And I was making a delivery at CDH Hospital here in Illinois, and I got a tap on the shoulder. And I turn around, and it's her husband. I mean, I did their wedding. I did their gender reveal. And I'm going, what are you doing here? And he said, Tasneem had the baby. She was only 6 months pregnant. So before I know it, I'm whisked upstairs to the NICU, and I got to embrace my friend. And I got to personally give her the care package in the hospital. And I see the look on their faces, knowing you don't get to really do that. And I left, and I was crying. And I called my co-founder, because we were there together, and my daughter was actually there too. And I said, that's exactly why I do what I do. We don't get to see necessarily the response from somebody, but the impact, it's deep. And that's what this is all about: support, kindness, caring. It's really difficult when you're in that position. And not only do we impact preemie families, but we also impact PICUs. My daughter was in the PICU for a week. We also impact homeless shelters. We do back to school drives for children that are in need. It's truly about impacting a family unit. We all go through struggles, but my sister Faith, she didn't get to go to school. She didn't get to do these things. So I'm going to do all these things with her, but I bring her along to everything I go to, no matter where I'm at in the world.
I love that. And that's it's incredibly touching. It's incredibly powerful. And it's also not something that I feel like is talked about a lot. In pageantry, there's, like we said earlier, there's a ton of different platforms, but you don't see a ton of preemie platforms and talking about preemies. And I'm actually a preemie myself, so relate. I was 4 pounds 11 ounces when I was born, and I was an itty bitty thing. It's something that you really hit home when you said you don't know what type of health issues that person is going to have. There's issues that I have today that I honestly have not thought about, the fact that they could be related to the fact that I was a preemie. So I love that you're bringing awareness to that, because it is so important. Whether those parents walk out of that hospital with their preemie safe and sound, or whether they're not allowed or not able to bring them home, like your sister, that's a huge group of people that need support. And it's a very grief-filled sometimes and quiet moment. And I think it's really great that you're acknowledging those families and supporting them when they need it the most. So I love what you do. I think it's super impactful and something that I can't wait to see how You Gotta Have Faith grows. I mean, that it would be amazing to see it kind of standard almost in every hospital and grow to that level. Is that what you want to see happen with it? Do you want to see it, in every hospital one day?
I would love for You Gotta Have Faith to be a household name, much like the March of Dimes. We all know what the March of Dimes is, but this is for my sister. And, you're in those hard situations. You got to keep the faith, whether you're religious or not. You got to hold on to
Yeah,
something positive. And that's also what we're instilling in people. You got to be positive, because when you're with your preemie child, they feel that energy.
yeah,
Preemies have a 50% better survival rate when their parents are with them. And this is why huggers are
wow,
actually such a necessity in NICUs, because they need that love. They're not hugged up in utero anymore, so they need that
yeah,
human interaction. And the preemies that don't get a lot of that, because let me tell you something, I work with a lot of hospitals around the world, and it's really sad when preemies don't make it. And a lot of, there's circumstances for everything, but the best thing that any parent can do is to be there every day with their child to the best of their ability. And there's incredible resources that people can take advantage of now. The technology that we have is greatly different than when me and you were born. I mean, we're
yeah,
saving children at 20 weeks gestation right now, and they're living normal, happy, healthy, thriving lives. So that's incredible.
yeah. That's amazing. I commend you for doing the work in the background in that way. Like you said, you don't always see the reactions, but just getting to see that personal reaction to you and just knowing that you make that impact, that's amazing. And I hope to see it. I hope to see Faith's name everywhere one day. I know you're not doing it for that, but I would love
No,
to see that, because that would be an incredible legacy for her. And I love that you do it in her honor. So that's super special.
everything's
And
for her.
I love that. So that's amazing. And I think I love knowing and I love learning everybody's empowerment plan. Sometimes I sit and just scroll and watch all of them. But I love that idea. And how do you're a very busy woman. I see you jet set all across this country. It feels like once a week I'm seeing the sash picture with an airplane window behind it. And I'm like, where's Saryna going?
Oh, yeah, I'm Carmen
How
San Diego on a regular basis.
how do you handle You Gotta Have Faith and Go Bling Yourself and being Maxine's mom and being your husband's wife? How do you juggle all of that?
Best calendar, I swear, on the planet. And I'm incredibly proficient with time management. So not only I'm a wife, I'm a mother of two. I run an incredibly successful Go Bling Yourself business where I sponsor over 50 pageants nationally and internationally in the world. Plus, I'm a senior partner at Browning Associates, the premier executive career search firm in the entire United States, as a senior partner. But I also run You Gotta Have Faith. And when you can learn to just prioritize your time correctly, you can do anything. That's why I've been able to do everything that I've done in all the years of pageantry, because I get that question quite often. Oh my God, you're so busy. How in the world can you do this? You need to have a healthy balance of understanding your priorities. When your priorities are in order, then everything else falls into place.
I agree 100%. And I think for me too, because I work with 3 different nonprofits, not including, my own projects, and then I run 2 businesses. So I'm very busy. I don't travel, but I am busy behind the scenes. And for me, time management has become super important. And also support systems. I'm blessed with my husband. He picks up the slack a lot for me. So I know pageant husbands in these episodes because they are on a tier of their own. They kind of, handle everything behind the scenes while we're doing all the glamorous things and they're supporting us. So shout out to the husbands.
Yep.
They deserve that acknowledgement. What would you say is your biggest passion? You're involved in a lot of different projects. So I'd love to know what the thing that makes you tick is. What is that driving force behind Saryna?
It depends on what aspect of my life it is, because there's always the driving force behind different things. But collectively, overall, it's moving the needle forward in a positive direction in all aspects of life. So, whether it's your family, whether it's your children, whether it's your business, whether it is your job, if you can see things in a positive motion forward for the greater good, that is something that motivates me and that sets me on absolute fire. Fire for passion, fire for life, fire for knowing that one person can make a positive impact and have rippling effects on the world.
I love that. It's definitely hard to pick your niche. You have quite a few of them. You're empowering women on kind of all fronts. So you're definitely a powerhouse. I see everything that you do and I'm like, she is on fire. So, and you make it look easy. That's like, wow. So congratulations on that, because I think we all have these moments kind of behind the scenes where it's like, I'm tired. This is challenging because we have a lot of titles. We have this title that we love so much,
Yep.
but we also are moms, wives, business owners, volunteers, charity pioneers, all different facets of life. So sometimes we got to take that breath, but it's refreshing to see you just driving forward. Sometimes when I have my days where I'm like, I'm tired, I go on Instagram and I see Saryna's Instagram and I go, get your butt in gear, girl. Let's go. So you empower me on my lazy days. So thank you for that.
Oh, it's so funny. My boss, the president of Browning, he's going, I opened Facebook and there you are, and your everything is done. I'm going, time management. If your cup is full, you can do it all. And it sounds so cliche to say that. And look, my life's not perfect. Do I have the moments? I mean, earlier today, did I have a moment where I curled up in bed and watched a little bit of Roseanne just to decompress? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Because, I might be the Energizer Bunny on most days, but I need a recharge station too.
Absolutely. What would you say? This is one of my favorite questions to ask for self-care. Self-care is a huge thing, especially for women that are in positions like ourselves. What is your favorite form of self-care?
So I love taking a bubble bath. And being a mom, it's hard to have an ounce of quiet. And I love, there was a really, really funny commercial where there was a mom, she like locked herself in the bathroom and she was actually eating some cookies. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm doing that, but I'm in the bathtub. So I always think of that. And the kids are banging on the door. They're like, mommy, mommy, mommy. And she's like, what do you want? And she pretended that she was the dad. And they're like, sorry. But in that moment, I'm going, yes, girl. Yes, you get it. You eat your cookies. So for me,
Yep.
it's, I'm in the bath. I've got all of the things. I got my bath salts. I got my bath bomb. I've got my bubble bath. I've got maybe a glass of wine. I've got cookies. I've got, I don't know, gummy bears. I've got maybe a sandwich, depending on how hungry I am, watching some Netflix. But for me, it's having the moment of just complete relaxation and just straight chilling. and you need that.
I
So for me, I am straight chilling, probably watching Roseanne or the Golden Girls. I don't know.
I love that. That's my answer too, is bubble baths. That was a prerequisite for buying the house that we bought this year, was I needed a garden tub that I did not stick out of like the Titanic iceberg. So I have a giant garden tub and I can soak all the way under the water, and I have bath salts. I have my selection of bath salts and bubble bath. And my husband has walked in to see me eating cupcakes in the bathtub, and he's like, I am highly impressed at your ability to eat a cupcake in a bathtub. And I pull it off. So whether I'm eating cupcakes in the bathtub or reading a book, I'm currently reading Miss Dima Hendricks, who is one of our fellow sisters. I'm reading her book. So that is my bathtub read at the moment. So solidarity in the bathtub self-care.
Power to the bath bombs. Power to the bathtub moms or women.
Yes, bathtub
Power
moms.
bathtub moms. All right.
I love that. Part of my empowerment plan has been my Confidence Crown workshops, and it's a 4-part acronym that spells the word self is my method. And it stands for self-care prioritized, exercising your skills in practice, listening to positivity, and fake it till you make it on the days that you don't feel confident. So those are my tips for building confidence. Which one of those would you say resonates with you the most?
So people misunderstand the fake it till you make it because there's a lot of figuring it out. So when you say I'm faking it till I make it, you're trying. You're figuring it out. There's
Yep.
also the trial and error aspect of, okay, well, that didn't work. So how do I pivot my life and correct it? So for me, it's the fake it till you make it, because you can get there. You just might have to have several reset buttons.
Yep. Absolutely. I love that. And I love how it's interpreted in different ways. I love the concept of what you just said, where it's kind of figuring it out and reconfiguring it, because a lot of people take the fake it till you make it as inauthenticity, and that's not what I mean by that at all. I mean the same thing that you're talking about, where you're refiguring it. And also, in growing confidence, everyone has days where they don't feel like the best version of themselves. That's always our goal with being confident, is being the best version of ourselves. But everybody has that day where they're like, oh, I wish I could change this, or, whatever. So it's on those days reminding yourself, I may not feel like a bad boss babe right now, but I am. And just kind of shaking it off, essentially, where
Yep.
you just keep going for it. I love that. You don't hear that one too much, and it's one of my favorites, so I'm glad to hear it.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun. So now
Absolutely.
I feel like I should be giving you a bath bomb when I see you. Wink, wink.
We can do, I'm putting together little self-care kits for the girls, so you will actually be getting a bath bomb.
Have my self-care at the pageant. Woo woo. Woo
You
woo.
are. I
Thank
have
you,
little
girlfriend.
kits. It's a candle and a lotion and a bath bomb, so that you can have a relaxing bath. So I haven't revealed that yet, but you're the first to know.
All right, my lips are sealed until you release this video.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, Saryna. I had a blast. I'm super excited to see you in 2 weeks and give you a big hug in person.
All
And
the hugs, all the love, all the love,
all the
love.
hugs.
And
And
then
I'm
our
so
crowns can, they're not going to see each other there because we're not wearing them there. But here, our crowns get one more little moment together. Sister crowns.
Sister crowns. But we'll get to spend time together, and I loved getting to be able to share your platform and a little bit of your background and your story before we debut at internationals. So
Thank
I will
you.
see you very soon.